Here's an explanation for the answer to final exam question number 56 in Alternative Energy Demystified, second edition. You'll find this question in the printed book at the top of page 322. We're talking about various characteristics of ethanol, that's ordinary alcohol. Actually, it's the very same chemical that gets you drunk if you put enough of it in your bloodstream. But don't try to drink gasoline with ethanol in it thinking you're going to get drunk, because you're just going to get the worst bellyache you ever had, or worse. It might even kill you. Don't do that. But I don't know why I said that. But, you know, some people actually might try that. So my advice to you is, my command is, do not. Ethanol is ordinary alcohol. You'll find it in rubbing alcohol too, although they use isopropyl oftentimes. Isopropyl alcohol for rubbing alcohol. Don't drink rubbing alcohol either. Just go and spend the money and do it right if that's what you really have to do to float your boat. Go get some good old Johnny Walker Black. That having been said, ethanol for use as an additive to gasoline. Well, there's been some controversy about that lately, by the way, because they're trying to add a little more ethanol to extend gasoline more and more, and they're pushing the envelope, to use a rather time-worn phrase, and they are starting to create gasoline grades that can cause problems with engines. But 10%, up to 10% ethanol is pretty common, especially out here in South Dakota. Which of the following characteristics does not apply to ethanol for use as an additive to gasoline? Well, ethanol can serve as an extender and octane enhancer. Well, yes, it can, to a point. Only to a point. Beyond that, it introduces problems. Generally, about 10% ethanol, I think, is what they accept now. So choice A is not correct, because choice A is a true statement. Choice B, is this statement true? Ethanol can help prevent gas line freeze in extremely cold weather? Well, as a matter of fact, yes, it can. And ethanol, gasoline, or gasohol, as they called it at one time, actually is a preferred fuel in Arctic and wintertime climates in the northern part of the United States and much of Canada. It can help to prevent gas line freeze. In fact, some of the stuff, those little bottles of stuff you put into your gas tank to keep gas line freeze from happening, oftentimes that contains either ethanol or isopropyl alcohol. So that, yes, that statement is true. So we rule out B. Choice C, the plant matter used to produce ethanol constitutes a renewable resource. Well, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Ethanol is generally derived from plant matter, and I'll show you one diagram of one process to do that in just a second. Ethanol is more flammable than gasoline? Absolutely not. That statement is false. Statement E is true. It burns a little cleaner than gasoline as long as it burns right. So choice D is the choice that we want here, because this statement is false. Ethanol is not more flammable than gasoline. If you've ever compared them, if you've ever torched up some gasoline, you'll find that that's a very bad idea. You put gasoline, say, on a wood fire to try and start that fire. Don't ever do that, because it'll explode on you. The vapors are so volatile, the stuff will explode on you. Actually, starting a wood fire is something you generally don't want to use liquid fuels to do under any circumstances, except maybe charcoal grills. You can use your lighter fluid there. But ethanol is less flammable than gasoline. So let's take a look at the process that is used in order to derive that stuff. This particular diagram, we use corn. Now, there's been some issues about using corn to derive fuel for propulsion here in the United States of America. Some people have said that corn could be used to feed people, and that's absolutely true. And there is a a controversy also about that. But the milled corn is converted to a slurry, kind of like a slush. Then it's kind of goes through a process similar to fermentation that you would use to make actual booze. It's liquefied, enzymes yield glucose. They add yeast, just like you might do if you're making wine or certain types of other intoxicating drinks. And as a result, it ferments. Then you distill it. Imagine moonshine gasohol. Well, stranger things have happened in this society of ours. Stand by. You never know what laws are coming down the pike. But anyway, you can read the rest of this. The waste, they use that to feed animals. I suppose that if I got hungry enough, I'd eat it. And so would you. Hopefully we'll never get to that point. But the final product is the ethanol, which is then added to gasoline, and it can serve as an octane enhancer and extender. But once again, the correct answer to this question is D, because statement D is false. Ethanol is not more flammable than gasoline. It's less flammable than gasoline.